The challenges facing our teens today mean that more than ever, we need to be there to support them and encourage them. The Dr. STEM Show is here to provide discussions about topics that will help promote healthy relationships, self-image, and success for teens, parents, and the community. Our young people can achieve more in life than they ever dreamed possible. The Dr. STEM Show, hosted by Dr. STEM Malatini, will foster these discussions and encourage your participation.
How many likes does it take for you to be beautiful? How many pictures do you need to delete before you realize your favorite celeb goes through the same things as you? How many times are you going to re-upload your most liked picture just to get likes quicker? How many times will you step in those heels just to add 100 filters to a heart? I mean, a face that's already concealed. Before you realize they never fell in love with you. They fell in love with your editing skills. See, I'm not here to tell you you're beautiful. I'll let your favorite singer and your friends do that. I just want to know how many people's opinions you need before you believe that. Because what's 100 likes when there's only one person you spend your evening with? What's 50 favorites when your favorite can't get through to you because you're more concerned what the other 49 think? I'm not here to tell you you're beautiful. I'll let your favorite singer and your friends do that in a generation where everyone's too busy trying not to get hurt to fall in love. I dare you to sign out. I dare you to trust. I dare you to fall in love with the people who have fallen in love with you and ignore the ones who haven't. I could tell you you're beautiful. But if that's what your identity's found, what happens on the day that you're down and you run out of the makeup that enhances your smile doesn't mean you're less of a queen because you had rust on your crown. See, I once saw Ed Sheeran play with a broken string and Ronaldo do step-overs with his shoes off. It's then I realised their beauty went in their instrument. It was in their ability to play their role even when they should stop, so when all is said and done and this poem becomes nothing but a memory. At least remember that 100 likes doesn't set you free. I'm not here to tell you you're beautiful. I'll let your favourite singer and your friends do that. True.
Wow. Now don't be fooled. This is the Dr. STEM Show, and welcome to the Dr. STEM Show. True, that is his name, Nego True, that is with us here. He's on tour. He was in New York performing last week, and he's here in Boston. Welcome to the Dr. STEM Show.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, I loved that. Now, is that poetry? Is that, what do you call that, open mic?
Where we're from is called poetry or spoken word, to be fair. Spoken word is the more legitimate word for it.
Okay, so it is spoken word.
Yeah.
Also known as, which is poetry, but now it's poetry that is being spoken.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what's important about that part that you said, the first poem that you talked about. I walked into the studios and you were getting prepared and we were preparing. And the first thing I said, and you said, oh, you smell good, which every woman wants to hear. Yeah. And then I said, oh, but you didn't tell me that I look beautiful, in a joking way. But then I realized after listening to this poetry that it's not a joking thing for most women.
Yeah.
Especially. How did you get to create that one?
I guess the question has always been thrown to me in the sense of people are always quick to say to me, oh, you're meant to give certain people a sort of feeling, if that makes sense. Like we're in a generation where everyone's so big on honesty. But at the same time, everyone believes you're meant to tell everyone they're beautiful. So if I don't think someone's beautiful, does that change who they are? Like if I look at a girl and I think, oh, she's not even that nice, because that's what everyone wants. They claim they want honesty. But at the same time, they claim you're meant to uplift everyone. So I guess I started getting emails saying, why don't I make poems saying all girls are beautiful? And I'm not here, I've always said, I'm not here to save the world. Like I'm not. So in my head, I thought to myself, well, I'm not here to say you're beautiful. Like in the sense, like your identity, if your identity is in how you look, as I said in the poem, what happens on the day that you're down and you've run out of the makeup that enhances your smile doesn't mean you're less of a queen because you had rust on your crown. Like looks are temporary, if that makes sense. So for me to spend my time telling you, like making your identity how you look, that's more beating you down than it is lifting you up.
You know how big that is for you to come out and say something like that, to say, listen, I'm not here to tell you that you're beautiful, because whether you have that pretty dress that you have on, your hair has been done well, or you don't have braids on, or you weave on, the bottom line is, do you feel and think that you're beautiful? That's what I'm hearing, from that.
Yeah, it's like, where do you find your identity?
Exactly.
Like, if you find your identity in your makeup and your clothes and your shoes, you can lose that. Then what happens then? Like, with me, I'm cool. Like, I don't I don't really care about this. This is just clothes.
Yes.
Like, I'm good. Like, regardless of what I wear or how I look, like, I'm happy.
Yes. Yes. And a lot of women, as you've noticed, confidence, self-esteem, those are the number one things that bother them the most, that they talk about the most, and that they work on the most. And you're coming out with this poem, which is beautiful. What do you call that spoken word? Is it, I'm not here to tell you you're beautiful?
Yeah,
or
I'm not here to tell you you're beautiful.
I'm not here to tell you that you're beautiful. Yeah. I hope that a lot of women out there are listening, especially the ones that have boyfriends and husbands, because the number one thing that they complain about is, he never tells me that I'm looking good. He never tells me that, I'm telling you,
Yeah.
that, that's the number one thing that they fight about.
Yeah.
He's not telling me that I'm beautiful.
Yeah.
Or this is the way that I look.
When people talk about affairs and stuff like that, they say stuff like, oh, my partner, my boyfriend wasn't making me feel beautiful, etc., etc. But then, if that's what, like, if that can make you cheat or whatever, then I think the problem was less with him and more with the fact that that's what you wanted. It's not what you should expect. It's just what you wanted. It's how you live your life. There's not many guys running around saying, oh, my wife doesn't tell me I'm beautiful every day. Like, that doesn't really happen. I think you can blame it on a male-dominated society that sort of makes women feel as if that's their purpose, to just be this trophy in society, when that's not the case. That's, you know what I'm saying? Humans in general have purposes bigger than just standing there and looking nice.
Well, you know what? We're going to take a quick break, but whilst we're on break, I want you to think about a statement that says, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. And we'll talk about that when we come back. We have Nego True in the house today. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
As a youth motivational speaker, author, and coach, Dr. STEM understands that in a world where today's youth and parents are jaded and disappointed by institutions and people they perceive as out of touch with the reality of their lives, motivation is a dose that is much needed. It's time to excel. Dr. STEM Malatini is a refreshing change from the typical speaker. Dr. STEM understands the pressures, heartaches, temptations, hopes, and dreams of the generation that is just now coming of age. Students listen in transfixed silence as she speaks with the clarity and confidence of someone who has worked with teens, parents, and teachers for over 20 years. Her high-energy school assembly programs create a defining moment for schools and provide an experience students never forget. To reserve your seat in one of her coaching sessions, purchase her books, or to book her services, email her at drstemmmalatini@gmail.com or go to her website at www.drstem.org.
Welcome back. So, Nego, I asked you if you can think about men are from Mars and women are from Venus. And I did that because then women think differently. They expect different, things than men, because you had just made a statement, well, not all the guys go around saying, my woman doesn't tell me I'm beautiful.
Yeah.
So what if it's a woman thing that we want to be told that I'm beautiful?
Then you got to admit that there's no such thing as equality. Because you just said that men and women think completely different. So if men and women think completely different, then you can never be the same, which is an interesting conversation. Yeah. I think we can be the same in terms of just about everything. Yeah. But I think people fail to understand that we do think different, that we do see things differently. Like, if you're having sometimes when I'm talking to my mum I'll be saying to my mum, this, like, what you're saying doesn't make sense because of A, B, C, D. But my mum's taking in the things I didn't say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like you have to take those when you're looking at people. So it's the same way when you're debating about the whole beautiful thing. If you understand that, okay, that's where you find your joy, your peace in being told that you're beautiful, you have to accept that. I think we struggle as men and as women to sort of see things from the other point of view, because we only know how we're raised. So there's men that don't sit around and tell their wives they're beautiful, more because they don't think there's a point. Whereas there's a lot of women that don't do whatever it is that men want because they don't see the point. Yeah. And I think the more we try to understand each other is the more we can actually progress as together,
Yeah.
like as people.
Yeah.
So see things from other people's point of views. It's not you against them. It's you with them. So
You mentioned mom.
yeah.
Let's talk about your background.
Okay.
Nego True is a performance name.
Yeah.
When you do spoken word.
Yeah.
Who are you? Who
am I?
is Nego True?
Nego True is a young boy from Leighton, East London. I was raised in London, in the east part of London, a place called Leighton.
Okay.
That's known for things.
Okay. Are they good or bad things?
It's known for things.
Okay.
We have a football team. You guys call it soccer.
Soccer, okay.
We have a football team there. That's one of the things we're known for.
We want to know who you really are, because behind every celebrity, there's a real person, and that's the genuine person that we're bringing out today. That real, Nego True that they're hearing, because then your words are captivating.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you know,
really
I mean,
nice.
that poetry is really personal for people, and I love the words, and I'm going to be, showing people the YouTube channels and everything, because you're touching hearts of people, and making changes in life. So I wanted them to see who you really are, that person that's caring for the outside world, to say, let me tell you in another way. I'll do it in spoken word so that I can express to you how people think differently, which is what I understand that to be. School. Did you go to school? Because and I go there as well because I work with teenagers, and I want them to understand the steps that it takes for somebody to get to the level that you're at, that you're doing your own tours, which we will talk about later on. What was your background? What is your background in education?
It didn't start off too great. I went what we call school, which is from 11 to 16.
Okay.
My brother was always the smart one in my household. Like, it was me and my brother. And my brother was really smart. Well, he is really smart. And I was always sort of playing catch up with him. So it was always like, I think the only reason I really continued studying was more to prove that I wasn't as bad as people thought I was. So I studied in school, and one of the main things probably the only two subjects I enjoyed were PE and business.
Wow.
And it was funny because the business subject was because for reasons I wasn't able to do the ICT subject, so they had me doing business.
Yeah.
Then I went to what we call college, which is what you guys call high school,
Okay.
which is 16 to 18.
Yes.
And like, all thanks to my brother, I got into a college in my area because he done really well there. So they were like, they think I could do well. So I went there, studied. Things are different here in England. I studied business, law, and financial services. That went all right. And then I got into what you guys call college, what I call university.
Yes, yes.
And I studied business management.
Okay.
And I did 3 years there. You guys graduate after 4, we graduate after 3.
3, okay.
And I was able to graduate from Kingston University in London with a BA Honours Bachelor's in Business.
Oh, congratulations.
Oh, thank you. I
And
appreciate it.
how do you get in from graduating from university and then business, and then, you're in spoken word?
Yeah.
How was that transition, and how did you find that this was your passion?
I think the misconception is the belief that my career is fully art, because with any business you need a product.
Yeah.
You deal in two different things, either a product or a service, but regardless of what it is, you deal in a product, whether it's tangible or not.
You're right.
So it more came down to, I'm going to invest in something one day.
Yeah.
I'm going to start some sort of company that sells some sort of product. Then one day I realized what's a bigger investment than myself. So I started managing everything as if to say it was a company. So I built up a team of booking agents. I got directors, editors, music producers, all these. I built up a big team. We're called the True Family, TTF.
Oh, wow.
And the way that it worked was, before I employed anyone, I made sure I studied every single person's field first.
Yes.
So I was able to sit down and fully get my hands around how to direct, how to edit, how to film, how to be a booking agent, how to be a PR, how to be a PA. I literally studied these things before I employed everyone. So with regards to it, spoken word at first was not a hobby. It was just how I got things out, because where I'm from, I'm not really much of a talker. Like especially my family say that a lot. Like, if something happens, I'll never be the type to come home and be like, oh, this happened and I'm so upset or whatever. So I just started putting it into writing, and then people started relating. I didn't know it was what I was doing was relatable. I was just doing I was just writing about how I felt.
Okay.
So then, with regards to it going from my degree into me doing the art form, I guess I was never gonna go down that office day job lifestyle. Never. Like, from a young age, that was never gonna be me.
Yeah. You know what? They keep asking me to take a quick break. So I want to continue on that. I'm just like mesmerized that this is a whole empire that's going on. So we're gonna take another quick break, and we'll be right back.
How much difficulty do you have getting your employees or your customers to listen to the solutions you can offer? This may be one of the great frustrations in business. It's time to excel. Dr. STEM now offers solutions with her Soft Skills Leadership Training Program and the Women's Executive Leadership Training Program. To reserve your seat in one of her coaching sessions, purchase her books, or to book her services, email her at drstemmalattini@gmail.com. or go to her website at www.drstem.org.
In order for us to go into the next segment, what I wanted to do, because I love to hear the spoken word, do you have another one that you can say for us?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
The certain codes I was raised by. And they refused to understand us because we refused to change our standards. My little sister used to question why my room always had packages in it. And under my mattress was different. Please understand where we came from before you judge us. NFA was a one-off, so we were in court with the gloves off. Never told mum what we told dad because she couldn't understand that what we done was to save us. Please forgive us before you forget us. Lead us before you neglect us. See, I guess we raised us in this town. Some went jail, some got laid in the ground, and some changed up just to get change in this town. They labelled us a unit, but we called each other family. See, I've heard girls deny they were raised in this place. Queens lost their crowns on a block staircase, and Bluetooth got me that footage back in year 8. I ain't saying no names, but we were raised here. We made heroes out of the oldest, then we grew up and realised there was nothing they could show us. They used the money to control us, the rep just to hold us. I told my brother, forget the town, do you, and stay focused. And forget getting a girl around here. Because around here, they're either someone's baby sister or someone's baby mother. We've seen Skets rebranding and try to track the brothers. In fact, Scrat speaking on this subject. See, when your son comes home with a permission slip for a lesson trip, you can't pay the school with a tenner piff. What I'm trying to tell you is this rep won't pay your bills and this town won't feed your kids. See, I've lost friends to this postcode split. The road things, that's probably why I ain't involved in it. But since 010, guys are still trying to tell me who I can and can't talk to. I don't owe this town, and I definitely don't owe you. Every issue seems to start with P. I can't take another RIPI. Don't talk much. My mum says I never put how I feel on my statuses no more. Everything's changed. Hear my pain. I had Ash live with me before he went jail. Forget road. I need to make it out before he comes home. I need to make it out before Chucks comes home. Ignore the views, ignore the buzz. I made a living off of what I love. Please don't take this as a boast. It's just talk. I'm on a 4-city tour. I've never been nobody's support act. So before you talk bad, remember what I did. What is a diss track? I remember going into overdraft just to order a Big Mac. Now my only stress is if my girl's present should be gift wrapped. I'll give my brother everything even though we don't look alike. Tell my sister I'm 5 shows from leaving the hood behind. Even though I failed English literature in school, it doesn't bother me. Because now they study my poems and anthologies. True.
Wow. Okay. I understood some of the words. and I know there's a story behind it. I'll tell you some of the words that I caught.
Yeah.
I've got to be somebody before, certain friends come back out into the community.
Yeah.
I've got to make a change. And I also understood a part, it almost seems like those young people or even adult that nobody else understands, and everybody thinks that they're not doing anything just because they're not conforming to the standards that we know on a regular basis, and nobody understands them. And here you are saying, well, I actually am someone and I actually know what I'm doing, and say, well, can you elaborate in your words? Because that's what I was hearing.
I think the generation that came before us,
Yes.
I don't know how to say this in a polite way. What comes with culture is a set way of living.
Okay.
Is a set rules, set structure in how you're meant to live.
Okay.
So there is a failed understanding as to who's what. Like, people literally only respect your position when you've made it to a certain place.
Yeah.
So if you're doing something that's innovative, or let's say if you're talking about Jay-Z, for example, Jay-Z was probably told, why don't you go through this sort of system, etc., etc.
Yes.
But now no one in his family would ever say that to him.
Yeah.
But then you're quick to sort of listen to a Jay-Z song, support his music by buying him on iTunes, but then turn around and say to your son, you can never be a rapper.
You're right.
With myself, I had to put myself in a certain position. I had to say, okay, I'm doing poetry, etc., and put myself in this position before anyone turned around and said, okay, we want to support what you do. And I think with regards to friends going in the system, as you said,
Yeah.
these aren't, to me, those people aren't gang members. They're not.
Yes.
They're not just numbers. They're friends. They're people I grew up with. They're people I went to school with. They're people I went to university with. So it's easy to look at someone that's in a certain position and say, they're just this and that, without sitting down and talking to them, because they probably have the same or even a bigger knowledge base than even myself. But the only difference is I'm here on YouTube. And they've made mistakes, so suddenly they're just cast away. But me personally, there's two things I believe. Firstly, that I need to go first, and by that I mean a lot of people in my area are quick to say, could you bring me in, could you put me on a song, help me get out, whatever. And I need to first put myself in that position before I can come back for anyone. And secondly, there's people that I made a promise to that we're gonna get out of here, and I need to put myself in that position before that. Like, they're basically my deadlines. To me, that's how I believe. Like, no one said that to me, but they've been in the time that they've been given. I've said to myself, I need to be successful by that year.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So what you're saying to the parents that have young sons and daughters out there that are hanging out with the quote unquote bad guys or bad friends or bad peers, what are you saying to them? Because then they're afraid that, you know what, if you hang out with the bad ones, then you're going to end up locked up and being given time as well. So what are you saying to them?
It's a catch-22.
Yeah.
I know this really cool boy. His name's Tom.
Yeah.
He went jail for pushing someone over. Like, as in, he was getting bullied his whole life. And then one day he thought he'd fight back, and he pushed the boy, and the boy landed and cracked his skull. And he's in jail for almost the rest of his life now. That's literally the only bad thing he's ever done. And I think with regards to raising your child, like, it's quote unquote, I got to think about what I say because I know my mom's going to see this. But quote unquote, the bad kids you're talking about are the kids that you raised.
That's true.
Like, this generation raised every single kid you're talking about.
That's true.
So if you're looking at it like that, I was very troublesome when I was young. I wasn't a bad child or anything, Mom. I was a great child. Very well behaved. But I was quote unquote the bad kid you're talking about.
Yes.
But I can sit here and have a conversation with you. Like, decisions are based on influence but aren't completely carried out by influence. Yeah. So if I'm influenced by something, if I'm hanging around people that are negative influence, I still have a choice as to what I do next. And most of my friends, like, I'm friends with basically my whole area. Like, if you walk through my area with me, you'll see me say hello to everyone.
Okay.
And the way that works is that I'm friends with everyone, but I stand alone. Like, they know they could never ever ring my phone and say, we're gonna do this bad thing, come out, etc., because my parents raised me to stand by myself. So if your child is a follower, then tell him stay inside. In fact, he shouldn't have any friends, to be fair. If he's a full-on follower and he's influenced by everything around him, then but you gotta raise your children to have their own voice, to have their own opinion. Like, my friends almost see it as if my friends ever said to me, come out and do this bad thing or whatever, I take that as almost disrespect. It's almost as if to say, you don't respect the fact that I respect myself enough to not go out there. You don't respect the fact that I've got values. which I was brought up with by my parents actually instilled those values in me. Yeah. I'm saying big shout out to my dad.
You know, he's gonna be watching. You know what? I hear you. I hear you saying, you know what? If you're my parent, you need to focus on me, support me, trust me. I hear what you're saying. I understand the values that you want of me. I know what your expectations of me are. And those people that we are calling those people, those are my friends. Those are my peeps. So when they make a decision that is wrong, maybe I can learn from that mistake because I'm around them. I can see it. And sometimes I might make that mistake and fall with them. But when I get up, I'll come to sit right here and I'll do the tour, but I'll put my life together the way that I want to put my life together, which might be different from the way that you know and the way that you can see. So when you think I'm quiet, I'm doing and I'm looking and I'm creating a life that I want.
I think the most important thing, which most parents, especially from the generation prior to mine, don't see is, if your child can't be open with you, then I'd say you failed. Because your expectations are, a lot of parents are trying to live vicariously through their children. Yeah. Like, you know, the whole thing with Michael Jackson and his dad making him do whatever. And, you know, a lot of parents look and say, oh, you're going to be a doctor. The only reason they're saying some of these things is because they wanted to do that.
Yes.
And I'm lucky enough to have very supportive parents. Very much that as long as they think that I can put myself in a strong position, they'll support me. But a lot of children, regardless of what you say, you can say don't hang out with those kids, whatever. But if your child doesn't feel comfortable enough to talk to you, then when they actually do go out and do whatever bad things, they're not going to tell you anyway. And when they actually do have dreams of wanting to be whatever, they're not going to tell you. You're going to find out one day on TV. You're going to find out because, I don't know, their auntie goes and sits down with you and says, oh, did you know your son was on TV singing or whatever? And so if you don't invest time in sitting down and just talking to your children, not talking to them in the sense of, okay, what do you want to be? Because I need you to. I mean, talking to them, actually finding out who your kids are. Then you're not raising anyone. You're just creating someone.
Yeah, right. Nego, we could talk forever. I'm so glad that, you know, I had this opportunity with you. And I want to let you know that on behalf of your family, all of us here on the Dr. STEM Show, we're so proud of you and congratulations on where you are and what you've done with your life of doing spoken word. For all of you that are watching, Nego True is doing a world tour. So for bookings, I will ask him to tell us how can people book you to come to their cities, their countries to do your live performances.
Email me bookings@negotrue.com or find me on Twitter and those things there. But for emails, bookings@negotrue.com.
Okay, so you can also find him on YouTube. You can actually put NEGO space TRUE. He reminds me of his uncle who says, you know, the voice. Make sure you put, capital F.
That was the voice. This is the visuals.
Okay. That was the voice. This is the visuals. You've been watching the Dr. STEM Show, and thanks to Nego True, who was here with us, and he's still doing his tour. So watch out for the city near you where he's coming through. Thanks again for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Dr. STEM Show. Have a terrific week.